So, with all the drama approaching this rapidly approaching and painful and unnecessary government shutdown, I thought it might be interesting to have a conversation with somebody who's on the ground. And we have Congressman Maxwell Frost, guest of the show, frequent guest, somebody I did not expect to be back so soon. But not only is he trying to save the government from an incoming shutdown, he's also picking fights with Elon Musk. And I want to talk about it. I was stunned by this. Congressman, how are you doing, sir?
Doing well, and yeah, I did not have Elon Musk subtweeting me multiple times on my bingo card for the end of this year. So interesting times.
I mean, listen, there's that great book about what is it, how to make friends and influence people. And
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, listen, no one will ever deny who is familiar with your work that you are willing to stand on business, that you are willing to stand up for your principles. I got to ask. Well, let me first get the context for this. So, and by the way, for those of you watching, I'm going to throw this tweet up on the video itself. But Representative Frost sent out a tweet saying an unelected billionaire was crowned co-president by the Republican Party. They've given him the influence to make a damn post that throws a spending bill into limbo because House Republicans are scared of him. No greater example of oligarchy, where the ultra wealthy run the show. Now, in response to this, the world's richest man and de facto shadow prime minister, maybe de facto president, says the people of Central Florida will kick this jackass out in 2 years. Huh. And I want to get to your response here in just a second. But first, let me ask you, Congressman, while you're dealing with the serious business of this shutdown, what's it like having somebody so powerful and wealthy explicitly target you while all this stuff is going on?
Well, I saw someone post this. I mean, it shows that Elon's showing us that being rich might be able to buy you influence in the government, but it can't buy you friends. And obviously, this guy is spending his entire nights either one, influencing the government and the Republican Party that completely abandon our duties of governing to make sure that we set things up so he can come in and make our government work even more just for the wealthy and the billionaires of this country. And the second thing is that he's just sitting around and looking at posts and replying to people and posting. I mean, the guy's a poster. And so what a pathetic man. What a pathetic person.
I mean, he has
And
that in
no
common.
one's scared of him.
I was just going to say, Congressman, he has that in common with Donald Trump, who quite frankly did much of that sort of thing when he was president of the United States. So they are indeed birds of a feather, I think you could say.
100%. And that's why, I never thought I'd see Donald Trump bow to someone or take orders from someone. But it makes sense. He needed someone richer than him to come along and tell him what to do. And that's why, for all intents and purposes, I'm calling him President Elon Musk
Yeah,
because Donald Trump is taking orders from him.
I think you should, Congressman. I think, quite frankly, I just literally before we had this conversation, because I'm covering the shutdown all today on my channel because there's so much to unpack, and I do want to get into the nuts and bolts of this because there is so much substantively to discuss. But I just did this video about how you and Congressman Dan Goldman and so many others are referring to Trump or to Elon Musk that way. I think it's accurate and brilliant. I think you should keep it up. I think that we have to accentuate the blatant corruption and oligarchy present in this relationship. Because it's not just, you're not just trolling. I mean, this is substantive. This is real. Elon Musk's an unelected billionaire while his Department of Government Efficiency is complaining about, unelected billionaires. So did you expect that Elon Musk would have this level of influence this early, or were you surprised?
I did expect this over the last few weeks just because we've seen how close he's become to Trump. And I think what started off as a friendship quickly turned into a situation where Elon's calling the shots and Trump is taking the orders. I mean, we're talking about the fact that we didn't hear from Trump all of yesterday on this spending bill. It was released for hours and hours and hours, not a peep. And then his boss, President Elon Musk, came out and said, I don't like it. He made 50 posts about it. And a few hours later, then we get a post from Donald Trump. Do you want to know what was happening during those few hours? Donald Trump was reading the bill, trying to figure out if he actually wanted to go with Elon or not. And so it just shows, number one, Donald Trump does not take this job seriously. And it shows, number two, that Elon Musk, through his hundreds of millions of dollars he put into this election to his friendship with Donald Trump, is now in a place where he's going to effectively be the president of the United States. And this should worry all of us because not a damn person voted for him.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's staggering. Obviously, those of us on the progressive side have been complaining about the sinister influence of, the ultra wealthy, the millionaires and billionaires in this country. But this has shortened that relationship where, again, I mean, we've seen obviously the corrupt influence of money, but nothing like this. As you discussed, it's been reported $250 million that we know about in terms of
That we
direct.
know, yeah.
Exactly. From, direct disclosures, campaign disclosures that Elon Musk contributed to Donald Trump in one form or another, to say nothing of what he's done to X, formerly known as Twitter. There have been studies and credible reports over the past few months that since Musk endorsed Donald Trump explicitly, there have been studies showing that the engagement that Republicans and right-wingers get on Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, that it's been wildly asymmetrical. So you think of the in-kind contributions that he's done as the social media guru, and his influence is all over the place. Now, I do want to close the loop on because Musk responded to your response rather, when he said that people of Central Florida were going to kick you out. You responded hilariously by offering him the form. You gave him the form to become a candidate for office. You said, okay, Elon, here's the candidate form for your run against me. The people of Central Florida don't really like corrupt, rich guys, though. So what do you make? Do you expect that he's going to finance, that you're going to become like a personal project for Elon Musk, that you are in his ire in the next 2 years? You're going to face challenges either in the primary level from a more conservative Democrat who's willing to accept money from Elon Musk, or is he just going to beef up your Republican challenger in your district?
It's hard to tell. I mean, part of me, again, he's a poster. He's a guy, he's sitting at home in bed by himself making these posts. And so part of me thinks he was already forgotten about the interaction. But there is a world, because of our horrible laws on election finance, that he could say, you know what, I want Maxwell Frost out of Congress. So I'm going to find a rando to run as a Democrat and put $30 million into a super PAC to make sure everyone knows his name within 7 days. Or I'll beef up a Republican challenger. And so we'll see what he wants to do. But either way, bring it on. This is my district. This is a place that, people know me. We're doing our work. And if a billionaire wants to come in and try to buy the district, we're ready to go. But there's something I want to touch here, and it's the fact that Elon Musk's influence is a direct result of Citizens United. And it has to be I would say the number one priority of Democrats when we are back in power has to be ensuring that we get rid of Citizens United. I mean, super PAC should not exist. Corporations should not be able to have influence in politics to this level, and sole billionaires should not be able to spend $350 million in our elections. He wouldn't have this type of influence if he hadn't spent that money. I can tell you that. Trump isn't listening to him because he's just such a nice guy and a cool guy to hang out with.
No, evidently not. I mean, Musk's his social awkwardness is legendary. It's infamous. He is repellent to so many people. I take your point that campaign finance laws need to be radically revisited. Publicly funded campaigns would be great. Shorter election cycles, quite frankly, would also be great as well. And I agree. I think that should be a top priority of a Democratic coalition. I also would argue, Congressman, that you would then have to contend with a right-wing Supreme Court. In so many ways, I think so much of what you want to do, the first challenge needs to be Supreme Court reform, because they're going to kill, in theory, they could kill anything that you pass by federal statute. And so to me, Supreme Court reform also has to be front and center of a Democratic majority. And I hope you all take that very seriously. Last thing on Musk specifically, his interactions with you, he responded, casting aspersions, going after your bona fides, saying that you're just mad. He's just mad that he didn't get his 40% raise to $250,000 a year. Quote, empathy for the working people, my ass. I'll read your response, and then I want your take on this. You responded that Elon is just mad that this site is worth 80% less than when he bought it. Great businessman, my ass. Damn. You sent him to the burn unit, Congressman. All right. So, go ahead.
It's just grand that the world's richest man is going after someone who less than 2 years ago could not afford a damn apartment in Washington, D.C. I'm still paying off my debts from the campaign and drove Uber during my campaign. And we have the world's richest man coming on here, again, questioning my intentions. Number one, there is not a 40% raise for members of Congress in the bill. Like it's just that's a complete fabrication.
Congressman, are you suggesting that Elon Musk either got something wrong or lied his ass off? Really?
Yes, I am suggesting that Elon Musk no, and he's a damn liar. He knows it's a fabricated thing. They posted on the Doge account or whatever, and people are believing it. And people need to know that it's a complete falsehood. Number one, there isn't a raise in there for members of Congress at all. It's not 40%. There's a cost of living thing in there that is actually a law that was passed in the 80s that just Congress hasn't followed the law on. And so that just makes you follow the law. But the other thing, too, is don't come at me complaining about this. This is a bill put forth by the Republican speaker in a Republican Congress. Okay. So, but either way, Elon Musk, he is somebody who is going to be running this country. And he's a liar and he's an idiot, and it's something we again should all be worried about.
That's a dangerous combination, to be a liar, an idiot, the world's richest man, and perhaps eventually the most powerful man on earth after January 20th. You know, the last time you and I spoke, which was quite recently, I asked you about the Department of Government Efficiency because, you know, there's been this ongoing debate about to what extent Democrats should involve themselves with Doge. I appreciate your more skeptical approach, which is like you're open in theory to a good faith proposal from Doge that makes sense, but you're not going to, you know, just enthusiastically run into their arms. Based on what Elon Musk has done, is it fair to say you feel vindicated in your skepticism, that you're like
100%.
this was the right thing to do?
100%. And this is what I was saying at the beginning. And everyone needs to remember, right? I didn't say, look, I'm not gonna pay attention to it at all or anything like that. I said, let's look at the proposition here. That tells me that these guys are full of shit. And now, just less than a week later, we are seeing that that was correct. It has nothing to do with making the government more efficient for all of us, and everything to do with making the government work for him and billionaires and the top earners in this country. And that's all it's about. And so, I mean, again, I'm always down for government efficiency, but I don't know. It doesn't seem super efficient to shut down a spending bill about a day before the government shuts down. That when we knew this deadline was coming up for months, there's nothing efficient about that.
No, not at all. I mean, people have joked that even the conception of Doge, the fact that it has two leaders instead of one, that in and of itself is, you know, inherently inefficient. Let's talk about the government shutdown for a minute, because this is a persistently reoccurring threat under Republican leadership because it's such a clown show. You know, quite frankly, there was a permanent funding deal made by President Biden and Kevin McCarthy, if I remember correctly, and then Speaker McCarthy reneged on the deal, and then it became a series of continuing resolutions, just kicking the can down the road. What's it say about the Republicans that they think they can be the tail that wags the dog? Because Trump is not president yet, so he has to contend with the Democratic majority in the Senate, a Democratic president. Do they really think that they can force Democrats, you guys in the House, Senate Democrats, President Biden, to bend the knee and say, sure, whatever you all want, and also we'll raise the debt ceiling for you in advance? Do they really think that that's possible?
I think Elon actually thinks it's possible, and that's why I'm saying he's an idiot. I think Speaker Johnson knows it's not possible, and that's why he put forth the bipartisan deal in the first place, because he knew that they couldn't do a crazy thing. Because if they could do a crazy thing, he would. I mean, this guy is, you know, comes from Christian nationalism. He would, but he knows it's not possible because, like you said, it has to go to the Democratic Senate and it has to be signed into law by a Democratic president, Joe Biden. And so I don't know how this is going to get sorted out. I mean, these guys are in a back room here in DC right now trying to figure it out, and I'm not sure they're going to be able to figure it out.
And those of us who, you know, again, we've had multiple conversations. You know where I stand. I like the fight that you bring to the Democratic Party, and that Congressman Goldman and Moskowitz and Crockett and AOC. What do you say to those of us who are concerned that Democrats, because of your instincts to be the adults in the room and to rescue Republicans from themselves so often, that at the last second you'll fold? I have concerns about that. Quite frankly, sir, I think that they campaigned on having a landslide mandate. This was a bipartisan deal. You acted in good faith. You're not obligated to save the GOP or Mike Johnson in particular from themselves. Where do you fall on that? And do you think that that's something we should worry about?
I can only speak for the House, and I feel good about the direction Hakeem is bringing us in. And if you look across the caucus, I think Democrats are stepping up their game in general, and we're being more aggressive and really taking the battle to them. This is their problem. They have the majority. They need to figure it out. There was a bipartisan deal. They're walking away from it. So now they're gonna have to figure it out with their own team. And Hakeem said that this morning in our caucus meeting. And as you probably know, I'm part of the communications committee for the caucus now. We had a great meeting this morning. We put out some guidance to everyone, saying let's take the fight to them and make sure working people know that Donald Trump spent an entire campaign lying to them saying he's going to uplift working people. And at the end of the day, the only person he's uplifted is billionaire Elon Musk. And I see that message from every Democrat right now. So I'm feeling good. I'm seeing the fight from my colleagues, and we just need to continue it.
I totally agree. I think that, again, as we discussed the last time, facts don't speak for themselves. And as you know, probably better than anybody, too often, some of your colleagues, I think in good faith, just assume that doing good work and doing the right thing speaks for itself. I hope you all are relentless and persistent and don't let up off the gas. I do also want to ask you real quick with the remaining time we have left is another disappointment that I experienced. I imagine, I can't speak for you, but I'd be surprised if you told me otherwise, was the result of the House Oversight ranking member vote. Congressman Connolly is experienced, he's intelligent, but quite frankly, I was hoping for a different outcome. I was hoping that Representative Ocasio-Cortez would be the ranking member. She served as Jamie Raskin's right-hand man or right-hand woman on this committee. She has the experience, she has the fire, she has the star power, and I feel like it would be a great step in the right direction. To whatever extent you're comfortable, can you talk about that and that decision and should, again, because so many people are disillusioned, what do you say to people who say, okay, well, this was your chance, Democrats, to demonstrate that you were willing to step in a different direction and you chose not to. So, so much for progressives taking power and working within the system to change things. Can you talk about that, please?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I worked really hard to help Alexandria in her race. I think she would have been an amazing ranking member of the committee. She's proven herself. She's dedicated. She's brilliant, and she's an amazing communicator with a platform that can really help uplift all the other members too, right? Part of what she ran on is the fact that it's not all about her. It's about how she can work to uplift every other member on the dais and on that committee. And so, of course, I was disappointed when she didn't make it all the way through. But what I will say is this, number one, Jerry Connolly is also a brilliant guy. He does amazing work on this committee. He brings the fire, and we'll all move forward together. And Alexandria is still on the committee. She's going to be doing amazing work. She'll probably be a ranking member of one of the subcommittees. She's been one of the most high-profile ones, and she's going to continue to be a force to be reckoned with. And I can almost promise people that she will be in leadership at some point, probably very soon. We didn't make it this time, but we're going to keep going. I mean, she got a lot of votes, over 80 votes of the whole caucus. And for even a lot of the people who didn't vote for her came out and said, look, I just have a really good relationship with Jerry Connolly, and I think in the future, Alexandria will be, ascending to some leadership position. So, obviously she didn't win, but, some people have been framing it as a complete rejection of her and being progressive and this and that. And I would say from my conversations with people personally who didn't support her, I wouldn't see it that way. I wouldn't see it that way. And I think we still have a lot of power within the caucus, and we're moving things in a good direction.
That's really inspiring to hear. That's good news. I'll be sure to share that with everybody because we're looking for some hope. Maybe eventually a ranking member or Chairman Frost, perhaps Congressman, or is that a bit further down the line? What do you think?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'm honored, I was elected to the DPCC, which is, no one knows what it is, but we help run the messaging. And part of the reason we're seeing a lot of Democrats be more aggressive right now is because we've put together some good messaging to help people out. And so, like I said, we're getting wins little and little. But as far as I'm concerned, we'll see what happens. But being a co-chair of DPCC is enough for now.
Well, I'm definitely glad that you're taking a more active and formal role in shaping democratic messaging. We need more of it. Congressman, good luck with this government shutdown. Millions of Americans, I know a lot of situations are at stake here because of this bad faith Republican move and Elon Musk's influence. I hope you're able to get it under control. And good luck trolling Elon Musk because we need to see more of that as well. You're one of the few people I've seen just trigger him in public. So keep that up as well. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.